Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org, back with another video for the new Boston. Now, we've already looked at file handling and how to, open a file, have a look at the contents. However, what we need to look at is how we can read a specific directory and list all files. So you've probably already guessed there's going to be a loop somewhere in here to loop through the contents of a directory and display each file. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to just be displaying this as a list, and then we're going to create a hyperlink for each file so we can click on it. Now, first of all, let me explain why this might be useful. Let's say you were creating some kind of file-based photo gallery, and you wanted to have several folders, for example. Let's just take a look at the directory structure that I've chosen. I've got file.php, which I have open in my text editor, and I've got this files directory here. Now inside here, let's just put a star in there. We've got first file.txt, second file.txt, and third file.txt. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking inside this files directory and listing all files. Now what happens if these were images? You may want to create a PHP script that searches a particular directory for a list of images and then displays them on a page. So you can adapt this example that I'm going to use really easily into your website and for your own purposes. So we're going to be using two different functions. We're going to be using the open directory and the read directory. Now you've probably guessed the difference between the two. The open directory function will actually open the directory and load it into a handle, much like we've done previously with loading a file into a handle. Then we can do something with it. With the read directory, we're going to put this into the loop and create the read directory as another variable. So the read directory is going to read the handle, which is then going to equate to another variable called file. So you'll understand probably a bit better when I go into the example and show you. So the first thing we need to do is set up a variable called directory, and I'm doing this simply so I can reuse this over and over again in my program. Now remember, the directory that we want to open is files, so I'm going to just type in files there. I'm not going to include any trailing slashes or anything like that. I'm going to let my program handle this later on, especially when, say, you were releasing some kind of script that used this to the public. You might want to create a variable such as file to read or something. Now you don't want your user to have to think, oh, do I need to put a slash there or a forward slash here or whatever. So you just want to have this as a single string with no other symbols in, just to make it a lot easier for you and anyone that might be looking at your code. So now what we want to do is we want to create a handle with using the opendir function. So we say handle equals opendir, and obviously we're going to be opening the directory that we've just specified, but then what we're going to be doing is appending on a forward slash. So in actual fact, when you read it in here, the directory is going to look like that, but we're just leaving this up to this line of code. Now we need to ensure that this returns a true value, so we need to ensure that this actually does open before we continue with the rest of our code, otherwise the rest of our code is going to be invalid. So what we need to do is put this in an if statement, much like we've put in a few other things like connecting to a database, for example, or just anything really we want to return true. So we can do this, we can set a variable at the same time as calling a function. So if this is true, then we need to go ahead and continue with the next step. Now just for purposes of aesthetics, making it look nice, I'm going to echo out looking inside, and then I'm going to put the directory name just here. So I'm going to say directory like that, so it will read looking inside files. This is another reason I didn't do slashes, because we're just going to specify the directory as plain string, how we want it to look and what we're looking inside. And I'm just going to append a break on there. I'm also going to enclose this directory text inside single quotation marks. Let's have a look at it at the moment. Okay, so it says looking inside file, so I want just single quotation marks on the outside of this to ensure that we enclose it. So I'm going to put a single quotation mark there and escape that character so it doesn't interfere with the start or end of our string, and I'm going to do the same just after that break and then put a escape character there, I'm sorry. So now let's refresh and we can see that that's just been enclosed in single quotation marks, and we can even then just add a colon just to make it look a bit nicer. Okay, so we've established our little welcome, or our little message telling everyone what we're doing. Now what we need to do is we need to actually read the directory. So this is slightly different. We're going to be using a while loop. So let's come down a bit and we'll set up the skeleton for our while loop. Now inside here what we need to do is we first need to assign the variable file to reading the directory, because what's going to happen is file is then going to exist for every loop. It's going to exist for each element, or if each file in our directory.